step in my shoes. Winner today, tomorrow you lose. Stop for your talks and let me go through. Come on for my face, make I see road to pass.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to this episode. I'm delighted to welcome you back to this episode. Today we're going to be talking about a very wild case, and this case is going to make you rethink the judicial system in Nigeria. That is, if you're not already rethinking it. This is a case of a man called Chukwuemeka Ezugo, and Chukwuemeka Ezugo was popularly referred to as Reverend King, and he's a convicted murderer, and he wanted to be the president of this our dear country. And I'm not even too surprised because the bar is so low. Every Tom, Dick and Harry wants to be president. But I don't want to waste too much time on the intro. Let's just jump right in. Chukwuemeka Ezugo, he was popularly called Reverend King. He's a preacher from Anambra State, in southeastern part of Nigeria. And he became quite popular when he was accused and later convicted of the murder of his church member, whose name was Ann Ozo. And this Ann Ozo, in court documents, I've seen her being referred to as Ann Ozo King. I'm not too sure whether this has something to do with his own name being Reverend King, but I saw her being referred to as Ann Ozo King. But for the purpose of this episode, I'm just going to refer to her as Ann. His early life and education, he was born in Anambra State, like I said. He was born in Umlekwe village in Achina community of Agwata local government, and he attended Premier School Onitsha for his basic education, and then he obtained a degree in psychology from Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I don't want to go ahead and speculate that the course he studied in university had something to do with how he would turn out, because I found out when we go through this case, you're going to see what I'm saying too. It seems as if he has a very strong hold on people. Even after his conviction, he still has a lot of followers. And he was accused of a lot of crimes. Prior to this conviction, he opened a church. The name of the church is the Christian Praying Assembly, and this church was located in Ajao Estate in Lagos. And he served as a general overseer of this church from inception to probably around 2006 when he was later convicted. And he was accused of a lot of crimes. He was accused of having illicit sex with members. During the court trial, some of his church members, a particular man to be specific, came out and said that he was engaging in illicit affairs with his wife. And also there were accusations of being violent against his parishioners. From what I could understand, it seemed like this man was pretty invested in the private lives of his followers, and he was someone that believed in punishment, and he believed that he was the right person to dish out those punishments to his members. He believed that when someone does something, you should come back and ask for forgiveness, of which you're going to be meted out some punishment before you're being forgiven. That is how the man runs. And from what I understand, it seems like, I don't know how this operates, but I believe that in these settings, most times the members are the ones telling on each other. Let's say you notice something amiss, you're going to go to the pastor, probably to gain favor from the pastor, and tell the pastor that you saw someone doing this, or probably it may be a simple explanation that his members trusted him so much that they will come to him with private information and tell him about their troubles. He was also accused of having a lot of affairs with a lot of ladies. One of the ladies, her name was Miss Chibuzo, and she was brought in to testify against him. There was a comment this man made, and I'm going to read it. This is a comment he made while on trial. Guys, this is while on trial. He was not even mincing words. He said, "I am a preacher. I know that the spirit of witchcraft is against the Almighty God. If someone is a liar, he is bewitching God. And I don't condone lie. Dr. King does not condone sin. I flog a lot. I have kings. If husband and wife mess up by having misunderstanding, I have to settle them. But the person that is at fault, I must flog. If the person refuses to be flogged, I will send him out of the church." This is word by word what he said while on trial. Like, this man did not even care that his life was on the line, and he was telling the judge that he flogs his members. For this particular crime that he was convicted of, there were six victims. The victims are Honora Chizoba, Vivian Ezocha, Olisa Chiejina, Jessica Wene, Kosisochukwu Ezenwankwu, and the person I've mentioned before, the last but not the least, Am Ozo, in brackets King. Only one of these cases resulted in a death, which is Anne Ozo King. Others survived, but they survived with major injuries. So what happened? This incident took place on the 22nd of July 2006, where they accused this man of dousing his church members in fuel and setting them on fire. Literally setting them on fire. In the process, people rushed to the scene and called the police, and they were able to put off the fire. But by that time, Anne also had already had like 65% burn, and she died from her wounds in the hospital. But others survived. So, what exactly were the allegations against him? What transpired? They charged him with 5 counts of attempted murder and 1 count of murder, and then another count of violence against a person. And one thing I realized is that this case dragged on from 2006 to 2016. The man appealed in Court of Appeal and finally appealed in Supreme Court. So he had like 3 different trials that spanned through 10 years, and he had the confidence to keep appealing. One of the issues I realized, this is one thing I mentioned earlier on in the episode, that this case is going to make you rethink the judicial system. There were a lot of things that were mentioned in the court, and this was part of the reason why the man felt that he had grounds to appeal this case. One of the issues was that his lawyer said that these victims, those people who accused him of setting him on fire, they said that they had grievances against him, and for them to lay these accusations against the man is just an act of vengeance. I remember these victims, some people during the eyewitness testimony collection, some people stated that the man set them on fire with lighter. Some people stated that the man set them on fire with matches. Some other people stated that he was not even the one that set them on fire. So imagine you're trying a case against someone that is accused of setting people ablaze, and different people are saying different things. Like, if you're the one in that room, is it possible? It's also possible that the people who are victims in this case were too traumatized to even pay attention to what the guy used. I'm sure that if someone is setting you on fire, the last thing on your mind will be, what is he using? Is he using a matches? Is he using a lighter? That will be the last thing on your mind. What you should be thinking about at that point is self-preservation. But his own lawyer, that is Reverend King's lawyer, claimed that he did not set them on fire. That what happened was that the generator that was outside had a problem, and the generator blew up, and in the process, the 6 of them caught fire. This is what his lawyer said. And the funny thing about this is that when the policemen went to his house to do a search, they recovered generators, but they didn't recover a matches, they didn't recover a lighter, they didn't even recover petrols. And that is another thing. The eyewitnesses, some people said that he fetched petrol with bowl. Some people said that he fetched petrol with gallons. And this is, I know in our eyes, it may seem like a very silly thing, but in the court of law, it's grounds. It's ground for saying that the testimony is not reliable. So back to my statement about the generator. They recovered generator from him. But part of the issues that his lawyer was saying is that this generator that was recovered from him, that it was not tested. The lawyers were saying that this generator recovered from him was not tested, that the generator should have been tested by an expert to determine whether the generator was set on fire. But this is very, very funny. I don't know. Even a 5-year-old can identify a generator that was on fire to me. If it actually burned to the extent of burning people, a 5-year-old should be able to identify. And meanwhile, this is the prosecutor that is saying this, that the 5-year-old should be able to identify if the generator was actually got burnt. And also, part of the issues they mentioned was that the generator was not tested for fingerprint. And I find this really funny that his prosecutor is saying this. Let's assume now that his generator was tested for fingerprint and it came out that it was his fingerprint. Is that really a surprising situation? Is it a surprising discovery? Because this is his house that we are talking about. And is it surprising to see my fingerprints on my generator? Does that prove that I set it on fire? Does it really help his case? And even from the prosecutor, it makes you wonder what exactly happens in our judicial system. It makes you wonder what happens in the courts if none of these things are being done. Even there was an accusation that the police entered his house without a search warrant. So basically, everything that they recovered from his house, whatever so-called evidence they discovered is an illegal search. That does not even make sense. This is something that is prevalent in Nigeria, the lack of due process. People just do what they want. They don't follow this, especially for those people in the force that are supposed to follow due process, because any mistake from the judicial angle, it can lead to someone that is a convicted criminal getting released. And it makes you also wonder if this is how the judicial system is, because basically what it means is that the police just went into his house and gathered stuffs and just bagged them in evidence back and took them straight to the court and told the court, okay, take. No interpretation, no background information, no testing, no forensic test, no fingerprinting. So it's just left for the court to just say, okay, we saw this knife in your house. Since we saw this knife in your house, then probably you must have killed that lady. Since we saw this bucket in your house, you must have used it to do this. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. And the most shocking thing of it all, the most shocking thing is that the lady, and also the one who passed away, who didn't survive this incident, it was said that on her deathbed that she said it was the generator that caused the fire, not the pastor, not Reverend King. This is what she said on her deathbed. And basically, his lawyer, which is Reverend King's lawyer, was asking the court to accept that. Normally, when there is a dying declaration, let's say you find somebody bleeding out on the street and you go to help the person, and the person is kind of clenching his throat and saying, so person did this to me, so person did this to me. That information the person is giving you is a dying declaration and it holds weight in court. So his lawyer, Reverend King's lawyer, was asking the court to accept her saying that it was a generator that caused it and not Reverend King, to accept it as a dying declaration. And if they are to accept that, it automatically means that he's innocent. But it makes you wonder, what about the people that survived? What then happened to them? They are obviously not supporting what she's saying. They are testifying against him. So how come that she is saying that it's the generator? What could possibly have gone through her mind? But anyway, the judge did not accept it as a dying declaration. He ruled it as unreliable. Basically, his reason was that it was hearsay. I don't know technically what he means by hearsay. I don't know whether they have any witnesses that witnessed her saying that information, or maybe the lawyer just framed it up. I don't know, but it would be out of place for me to speculate that the lawyer framed this, because it's a noble profession and I don't want to believe the lawyers can do that. So the judge assumed this as a hearsay and refused to admit it as a dying declaration. I have also mentioned the discrepancies in the testimonies. One person said he brought the fuel in a bowl. Another person said he brought it in a jerry can. One person mentioned that he set them ablaze with lighter. Another person mentioned that he set them ablaze with matches. And even the lawyer was of the opinion that if it was really Reverend King who doused them in fuel and set them on fire, that he too would have caught fire, that nobody would have been able to pour that amount of fuel and set someone on fire without him himself catching the flames a little. And this does not make any sense. It's completely nonsensical. Because if you're planning to do something like that, it just makes sense that you're going to work towards self-preservation. Besides, you can easily pour the fuel and go and wash your hands and dry your hands and cover yourself up without doing whatever you're going to do, because nobody is that stupid to set someone ablaze and put themselves in the line of fire. It just doesn't make sense. After so many appeals, the judge found him guilty. And I really pity these judges, because most times the policemen is as if they don't help your situation. They don't even give you room to make your interpretations. You as the judge is meant to make speculations as to what evidence speaks to what. They don't even have, they may just gather a group of things and nothing speaks to a particular crime, nothing speaks to him being present there. And that even reminds me, part of the lawyer's argument was that he was not there. He was not there. Apparently, this happened outside, and he claims that he was upstairs in his parlor when this happened, that he was alone. This is what he said initially during the police interviews. But later during the court, it was when he was being called to the stand, is when he now said that he had some people there. And obviously, they did not even give the lawyers enough time to even call those people to verify that they were even there. This was so many years after things has already happened. And meanwhile, if you give an alibi stating that you were alone when something happened, it's not really strong. For an alibi to be strong and reliable, you have to be cited by somebody, by witnesses, or even by CCTV. That is how strong an alibi needs to be. And besides, this happened within the same jurisdiction. If to say he says he was even out of the state or out of the country, is even seen is the whole different ballgame. At the end of everything, he was found guilty on all counts, and he was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment with hard labor for each of the three counts, that is 60 years, and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment with hard labor for another count of the crime. And he was also found guilty of murder and sentenced to death by hanging. As of today, it's not clear whether he has been executed, and I really, really doubt, because he has surfaced back in 2021. He has also surfaced he's surfaced in 2016 and in 2021. And while the judge was sentencing him, he made a statement that I would like to read out in quotes. "Before I draw the curtain, I must, by way of parenthesis, observe that the facts of this case are so miserable, sordid, and morbid, reflecting the moral decay in the age in which we live. The appellant, a religious leader, instead of protecting and guarding his followers, has turned around, brutalizing them, setting them ablaze, roasting an innocent soul to death, and offering them stone when they desire bread, and scorpion when they demand bread." I mean, guys, this is really strong. This is really strong. I wonder how these judges do this. Sit down there and listen to horrendous crimes, listen to things like this, and still come out and still be sane. It's really a tough job. So now back to his presidential ambition. Back in 2018, his posters started flying around. I don't know how many people saw those posters. I'm going to put up his posters. All along, his pictures has been playing. I'm going to put up his presidential campaign posters for you guys to see. And he actually came out contested under Advanced People's Democratic Party in 2018. And what is not really clear is whether he endorsed this. I don't know. I've not seen anywhere where it expressly stated that he endorsed this. But the spokesman for the party, the chairman publicity committee of the party, his name is Brad Chijoke Nwosu. He said that Reverend King is mobilizing a lot of support for them, and that he strongly believes that he was framed. He also mentioned different people who has been to prison. He mentioned Obasanjo. He mentioned the former governor of Abia State, T.A. Oji. He mentioned so many people who have been to prison and came out and became governors. Obviously, some of these people were pardoned, were given presidential pardon. But he's using this as a basis to say that him being president is not so far-fetched. It's possible in this country. And unfortunately, he is right. He's right that this is really, really possible in this country, given our history. But if you ask me, my opinion about this is that obviously APDA is not a strong party. That's Advanced People's Democratic Party. It's not really a strong party. If you ask me, they were looking for clout. They were just chasing clout. They needed someone who had a stronghold on people and someone who can really push the crowd, and they just used him as a figurehead to do this. But what is not clear is whether he expressly endorsed this. Back to what I was saying about his course of study. Reverend King studied psychology in Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I would like to believe that he graduated, because most likely he did. It seems like he has a strong hold on people, because back in 2021 he celebrated his birthday. Obviously, nobody knows that he celebrated his birthday. It was his members who published a 17-page birthday wishes for him. 17 pages, guys. Even people that are the most honorable, most noble, most upright don't even get 17 pages. But these people, they publish 17 pages. It's online, you can always look it up. But I'm going to put up some pictures of his birthday wishes up on the screen so you guys can see. And they published it on this day. And I'm going to read one of the quotes. This is really funny, but I'm going to read it. His Holiness, the Most High Dr. Reverend King, lives and reigns forever in our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. We worship and adore you, our living God. On the glorious day of his birthday, you are the light of the world which have come to stay, to lighten the lives of your true children. Sir, you are the reason why we are alive today. This is literally what the message reads. And this is in 2021. This man was arrested back in 2006. 2021 minus 2006 is what? 15 good years. 15 good years. And the most shocking thing of all, you're not going to believe it, is that his church is still in existence. I saw an article on WordPress of someone who visited this church, and he actually said that this church is in existence, and it has been running by it. Probably some of the elders of the church took the mantle from him and they were running the church, and he still has some dedicated members up till this day. And it even makes you wonder, obviously, the buying of nomination form, printing of campaign posters, because when this thing happened, I was in the southeast, and obviously this issue looks like it happened in Lagos. And I saw his posters in the southeast, so they must have printed a whole lot of numbers of posters and circulated it worldwide, and it cost them money to do this. And it has to take a whole different level of belief for you to do that kind of thing, for someone who is a convicted felon. Is it possible that he knows how to manipulate people, how to keep people under his hold? And one other thing I've also heard somewhere is that he was someone who helped people. He was someone who helped his church members. When you ask him for things, he gives you. He got personally involved and invested in their personal lives. Could it be a situation of giving you something with right hand, collecting with left? Is it something that he did in order to have that stronghold on them? Could this have an impact? And finally, I'm just going to give the closing thoughts here. Our failed judicial system. The police went into this man's house without a search warrant. They collected items. They did not test those items. Does it mean that what it actually means is that it's so easy to frame someone? What it actually means is that someone can just pick someone's phone, a missing person's phone, and drop in your bag. And when the police searches it and they see it, they don't even want to care whether you have your handprint on it or whatever. They're just going to take it and run with it. And it's just up to the judge to decide what it means. Our judicial system is rotten, is flawed, and I hope that with this case that people are going to see and continue to speak up. Even social media campaigns, they help speak up against our judicial system and hold people more accountable. All right, guys, that's it from me. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I appreciate. See you next time.